A beautiful and reserved girl named Akira unexpectedly developed deep feelings for Kondo, a 45-year-old man. Despite her reputation as the school's ice queen, admired by many but untouchable, she remained indifferent to her teenage admirers. When classes ended each day, she would hurry to her part-time job at Garden Restaurant. Only there, in the presence of the middle-aged Kondo, did her heart truly come alive. The earnest and pure-hearted Akira had once bravely confessed her feelings, but Kondo dismissed it as mere workplace admiration. After all, what blooming 17-year-old would ever love someone old enough to be her father? The following day, Akira's frustration grew. Her courageous confession had been completely misinterpreted. After school, she resolved to find Kondo and set the record straight. However, her plans were interrupted when she encountered her junior classmate, Ishii. Akira had once been the track team's shining star until a devastating injury ended her running career. Ishii now sought her guidance for training. Eventually, Ishii convinced Akira to visit the track field. There, her former teammate Kaien greeted her with a mixture of surprise and discomfort. Akira approached her warmly before settling on the sidelines. Watching Ishii complete her laps filled Akira with longing, each stride a painful reminder of her former glory. The sight left her restless and displaced. As she prepared to leave, Ishii mentioned having heard about Akira's restaurant job and suggested visiting sometime. Akira's expression hardened as she firmly declined, then hurried away. Soon, rain began cascading from the darkening sky. Akira allowed herself to become completely drenched. It wasn't mere moodiness. Painful memories had resurfaced. During one crucial 100-meter race, her desperate attempt to shatter the record had ended in a catastrophic fall. That single moment destroyed her athletic aspirations entirely. The subsequent 2.5 years required wheelchairs and crutches, leaving her heart increasingly isolated and guarded. Until Kondo appeared, bringing illumination to her darkness. With nothing more than coffee and a simple magic trick, he had completely captivated her. Standing in the downpour, Akira couldn't distinguish between raindrops and tears streaming down her face. Meanwhile, after finishing his shift, Kondo opened his window for fresh air and spotted Akira standing motionless, thoroughly soaked. He urgently called for her to come inside, but she remained frozen in place. Despite the intensifying downpour nearly drowning her voice, she proclaimed her love for Kondo once more. After speaking, she departed, leaving her declaration resonating in Kondo's mind. The next day, Akira arrived for work as if nothing had occurred. Kondo remained uncertain how to respond to her confession. Akira's casual demeanor only deepened his confusion. After considerable thought, he decided to treat yesterday's events as youthful folly. During a quiet break together, Akira suddenly appeared behind him, startling him completely. To Kondo, she seemed mischievous in that moment, convincing him she was merely playing games. But Akira spoke with complete sincerity, insisting her emotions were genuine. Once Kondo realized this wasn't jest, he offered to escort her home while Akira anxiously awaited his response. Observing the beautiful and innocent girl before him, Kondo wasn't entirely unmoved, yet he calmly explained he couldn't provide an answer. He patiently outlined every reason their relationship was impossible, but the emotional Akira countered each point passionately. Seeing her distress and agitation, Kondo suggested a walk to calm her nerves. They stood awkwardly beneath a tree when Kondo suddenly questioned what exactly she found appealing about him. Akira simply replied that attraction requires no explanation. Given their significant age difference, Kondo insisted there must be reasons. Akira's voice quivered as she maintained there were absolutely none. Witnessing Akira's determined yet vulnerable expression, Kondo hesitated. In that instant, memories of his younger self flooded back. It felt like reliving a date with his first love, heart racing and cheeks flushed. But reality quickly returned as he picked up an empty cicada shell from the ground. His youth had long ago shed away like that discarded shell. Afterward, he told Akira, "Spend just one evening with someone my age, and you'll discover how tedious it becomes." But Akira only registered the word evening, interpreting his casual remark as genuine agreement. The following day during classes, Akira's thoughts centered entirely on their planned meeting. She even sketched romantic doodles of herself and Kondo in her notebook margins. After her afternoon shift, she reminded Kondo about their upcoming date. In the kitchen, Kaze, who had harbored feelings for Akira, secretly added premium whipped cream. reserved exclusively for customers, to her meal. But Akira responded with only a distant thank you. While eating, she hoped to encounter Kondo, but instead found Kei's approaching. She immediately rose to leave. At that moment, Kei's noticed her notebook and requested to examine it. Akira handed it over thoughtlessly. While working, she suddenly realized her mistake and rushed out in panic. By then, Kei's had already discovered the romantic sketches inside. She pleaded with him to maintain secrecy, but Kei's imposed a condition. She must accompany him on a date. To protect Kondo, Akira reluctantly agreed. Despite her obvious reluctance, Kei's remained indifferent. At the cinema, he deliberately selected a horror film, expecting Akira to seek comfort in his arms during frightening scenes. Instead, Akira watched stone-faced throughout. When the movie concluded, she insisted on returning home immediately, even reimbursing him for her ticket. But Kei's grasped her hand, demanding they visit a coffee shop. Akira remained silent, but when he mentioned Kondo's name, her body tensed and she sharply reminded him of his promise. Realizing the date wasn't proceeding as planned, Kei began ridiculing her, calling her attraction to a 45-year-old disgusting. Enraged, Akira threw money on the table and stormed away. At that precise moment, Kondo called to arrange their meeting location. After hanging up, Akira's joy was so overwhelming she literally jumped. But turning around, she found Kei watching her intently. He bluntly declared they had no future together. His words struck her deepest vulnerability. Suddenly, Kei kissed her cheek. Shocked, Akira shoved him away forcefully, then frantically scrubbed the spot he had touched. That evening, lying in bed, Akira smiled while reviewing Kondo's call in her phone log. But remembering Kei's actions, she angrily rubbed her face again. The next day, Kondo waited at their designated meeting place. Akira had dressed carefully, even styling her hair differently, which stirred unexpected feelings in the older Kondo. They attended the same horror movie afterward, but Akira's complete attention remained focused on Kondo throughout. When the film ended, Kondo suggested they part ways. Akira quickly claimed thirst, leading them to the same coffee shop as before. Kondo openly wiped perspiration with a towel, seemingly hoping these details would make Akira recognize his advanced age. But in Akira's perception, these were precisely the qualities that attracted her. Sipping his coffee, Kondo recalled his very first romantic date. Looking at Akira and the young couple surrounding them, he realized his youth had long vanished. Shortly after, he settled the bill and prepared to depart. Akira quietly followed behind. While Kondo took a phone call, Akira gazed absently at the ocean. When he finished, he was stunned by the vision before him. Akira, illuminated by the setting sun, resembled a masterpiece painting. Yet he thought this old man looked completely misplaced beside her. With those complex emotions, their date concluded. At the subway station, Akira lingered reluctantly, while Kondo walked away without looking back. The moment he entered the station, Akira felt time suspend. She dropped her bag and ran toward him without hesitation. When he turned, Akira leaned in for a gentle kiss. But instantly, time resumed flowing. Kondo walked normally into the station. Everything had been Akira's imagination, born from her lack of courage to act. That day, Akira followed Kondo's son Yudo to their home. But Kondo was absent. Entering Kondo's house for the first time, she nervously placed her shoes beside his. While lost in thought, Yudo invited her inside. The scene before her was startling. Unwashed socks, yellowed pillows, and complete disorder everywhere. But Akira didn't mind the chaos. On the bookshelf, she spotted the magic book Kondo had once used to comfort her. Then the study caught her attention. Inside, novels and discarded manuscript pages covered the floor entirely. She could envision Kondo sitting at that desk, writing with dedication. At that moment, Yudo announced his hunger. Akira, acting like a future stepmother, decided to cook. Opening the nearly empty refrigerator, she prepared simple omelet rice. As she finished, Yudo heard his father's approaching footsteps. He wanted Akira to help surprise Kondo. When Kondo opened the door, he only saw Yudo. Yudo claimed he had prepared the omelet rice himself. Meanwhile, Akira hid in the nearby storage closet. Though Kondo seemed suspicious, he tasted it and commented, "Slightly oversalted." Hearing this from inside the closet, Akira felt oddly disappointed. Summer heat made the closet stuffy and unbearable. Unable to endure longer, Akira suddenly burst out, tumbling directly in front of Kondo. Yudo realized he had caused trouble and quickly went to fetch drinks. In his haste, he spilled liquid all over Akira's clothes. Feeling guilty, Kondo offered her one of his shirts temporarily. For Akira, this felt like a precious gift. The oversized t-shirt nearly concealed her skirt entirely. Kondo intended to wash her clothes, but his washing machine was already full of his own laundry. He had no choice but to take them to the dry cleaners. After his departure, Yuto continued apologizing, but Akira didn't mind at all and even comforted him gently. Once Yuto calmed down, Akira clutched the shirt tightly, as if still detecting Kondo's scent within it. Soon after, rain began falling. Kondo, stranded at the dry cleaners, felt helpless. In the distance, two figures emerged, Akira and Yuto. The three walked through the rain like a family unit. Kondo and Akira walked side by side, stopping at a corner. Akira confessed her love once again. Seeing her resolute expression, Kondo finally understood the depth of her feelings. Once more, his heart stirred with emotion. But still, he provided no answer. She was young enough to be reckless, but he couldn't afford such luxury. From that day forward, whenever school ended, Akira would head to the restaurant for her part-time job, just to see the person who constantly occupied her thoughts, Kondo. She would seek opportunities for private moments, and when he remained quiet, she would initiate conversations. But the moment Kondo looked at her, shyness would overcome her, leaving her to ask about books he had been reading recently. Kondo mentioned reading it only because he knew the author, and Akira suddenly remembered the scattered manuscript pages throughout his home. She was about to encourage him to resume writing when Kondo said with evident sadness, "You don't truly understand who I am." That single statement left her speechless, unsure how to respond. Kondo's words echoed in Akira's mind for days. Despite continuous rainfall, Akira still arrived punctually for work. But today, Kondo was nowhere to be seen. Through other employees, she learned he had fallen ill with a cold. While working, Akira couldn't focus, and whenever she recalled Kondo's words, she worried he might actually dislike her. So she rushed directly to Kondo's home. Meanwhile, Kondo, burning with fever, was awakened by the doorbell's sharp sound. Opening the door, he froze. Akira stood outside wearing a floral dress. It was completely unexpected. Kondo silently observed the heavy rainfall, while Akira rested her head on the table without speaking, creating an uncomfortable atmosphere. Suddenly, Akira blamed herself, admitting she truly didn't know him at all. Only then did Kondo realize his earlier careless words might have wounded her. But Akira continued, expressing her desire to understand him better. She couldn't contain herself and loudly asked if he hated her. That's when Kondo realized she had misunderstood his meaning. He was about to explain when suddenly the power failed. In the dimly lit room, Kondo revealed that whenever he was with Akira, he could rediscover long-lost feelings of excitement. Hearing those words, Akira finally lifted her head, tears of happiness streaming down her face. She was overjoyed learning that Kondo didn't hate her. Kondo knew he couldn't accept Akira's feelings, but in that moment, instinct compelled him to comfort her. So he slowly embraced the anxious Akira. She couldn't believe what was happening. But as Akira clung to him, Kondo suddenly regained his composure. He quickly pushed her away, his hesitation filling Akira with hope. Just then, the lights returned. Kondo claimed it had been merely a friendly embrace, but even such a dismissive explanation was enough to sustain Akira's happiness for a long time. Right after saying this, Kondo collapsed from his fever. The next day, Kondo recovered and returned to work normally, but Akira, who had been caught in the previous night's rain, developed a cold. She didn't care about her fever. Her mind was filled only with the previous night's events. She sleepily extended her hand, imagining Kondo's fingers intertwined with hers. But then she remembered his words from last night, that they were merely friends, and she couldn't help feeling dejected again. That day, while Akira was serving customers at the restaurant, she froze upon seeing a familiar face, her old friend Kyan. This time, Kyan had come to persuade Akira to return to track and field, but Akira declined. Before leaving, Kyan mentioned that a senior who had suffered the same injury was now running again. Those words deeply affected Akira, and Kondo quietly observed everything. That night after work, Kondo deliberately gave Akira abundant free time. But Akira became upset, saying she wanted to do nothing except work. Walking home, Akira put away her umbrella, allowing the rain to soak her completely. Deep within, her heart was already beginning to waver. The next day, gazing at the vibrant sports field in the distance, Akira through the paper airplane that symbolized her track dreams with all her strength. That afternoon while working, Kondo told Akira he had resumed writing novels because it was a promise he had made to himself. Then, changing his tone, he reminded Akira not to forget her own promise either. That night, Akira searched through her belongings and found her long-forgotten rehabilitation training schedule. In that moment, she finally remembered the promise she had made with Kayan, to run together again under the blue sky. The following day, Kondo rushed off on a business trip and forgot crucial meeting documents. While delivering them, Akira suddenly recalled the time she first fell during a race and how Kayan had cried while encouraging her. Unconsciously, her pace quickened. Meanwhile, Kondo worried about his missing documents when suddenly he spotted a familiar figure in the distance, Akira, rushing through the rain. He hurried to meet her with an umbrella, but Akira pointed out that the rain had already ceased. Their reflections shimmered in the puddles beneath their feet, and Akira gazed at Kondo with clear eyes. Kondo was about to speak when his phone rang with an urgent call from his supervisor. Out of habit, Akira turned to leave, but as Kondo watched her departure, he suddenly called out loudly. Akira could no longer restrain herself. She ran at full speed toward Kondo, throwing herself into his arms. This time, Kondo didn't push her away. Instead, he held her tightly. Elsewhere, Kayan, who was preparing for training, suddenly received news that Akira was returning to track. Her eyes immediately filled with tears that streamed down her cheeks. At that moment, because of Kondo, Akira had regained the courage to pursue her dreams. And Kondo, inspired by Akira, completed his first novel. Its title was After the Rain. After the Rain was never merely a simple age gap romance story. It carried a gentle revelation. True emotions don't deplete each other. They are like one flame igniting another, allowing two people who were once at their lowest points to rediscover, through each other's companionship, the courage and passion to face life and become improved versions of themselves. And that's the beautiful story of After the Rain, showing us how unexpected connections can help us rediscover our dreams and become better versions of ourselves. What did you think of Akira and Kondo's journey? Let me know which moment touched you the most in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and ring the notification bell for more heartwarming stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.